It got us one. Fantastic. And there goes our recording. Our TMOD today is, my gosh, who is it? She is a member of 2 English clubs, a member of Paris La Défense in January 2019. She is a membership of Leadership Speaks. Her objective is to be a great communicator. Her hobby is to practice different styles of Indian dancing. Please welcome to the virtual stage our TMOD, Carine Baptiste. Carine?
Thank you very much, Fursey, for this great introduction. Dear member of Toastmasters and welcome guests. I hope you are doing well during this weekend. Are you okay? Are you ready? Yes? Yes. So I'm delighted to be your Toastmaster of the day during this session. My role is to drive the part dedicated to speakers. And also we have an interesting topic. This topic is related to servant leadership. I would like to share with you a brief introduction about this topic. Servant leadership is a concept created by Robert K. Greenleaf in 1970s. It means that a great leader is the first experience as a servant to others. The servant leadership is based on the idea that leaders prioritize serving the greater good. Leaders with this style serve their team and organization first. They don't prioritize their own objectives. Employees in a servant leadership environment are more likely to feel that their voices are heard. Doing so helps establish a trust culture when employees feel valued and supported. Servant leaders can demonstrate empathy and compassion in various ways, being approachable to their team members. Research shows that companies that apply this method prove that collaboration and collaborators feel better and also are happy to come at office, work in a positive environment, have improved collaborative efforts, and sustainable growth and success. These benefits help organizations improve productivity, performance, and profits, while supporting the growth and well-being of employees. To give you an example, I'm president of Paris La Défense for the second time this year. And for me, this notion is very important to practice in my club. Because even if I'm a leader, it is important to work with my team. Especially, it is important to collaborate together. Why? Because together we can move forward. I'm not the only one to decide. I'm the only one to make some decisions. It's important to be servant with my team, to grow and also to move quickly, because we have a different objective in each club. And if we don't listen to their suggestions, their ideas, or their opinion, for me, it's not enough. We are not a club. Finally, I can work alone. So this is not my objective. The objective is to be a team, finally. Servant leadership is a team, is related to cohesion and work together. So this is my introduction. And I would like to introduce the first role, Françoise, to raise a toast to this topic. Françoise, can you share with us your toast?
Servant leadership. Toastmasters International just completed its convention over the weekend. And as you see, I'm wearing our proud t-shirt, Bahamas, Toastmasters in the Bahamas. And we're speaking about servant leadership. Toastmasters has been that all the time. When I Googled servant leadership, they state that servant leadership style is based on the idea that leaders prioritize serving the greater good. And then further on, I read that servant leadership is a leadership philosophy in which the goal of the leader is to serve. This is different from traditional leadership, where the leader's main focus is the thriving of their company or organization. Toastmasters is an organization that provides solutions. We are groomed to be servants, service above self. And we will continue to live it, not just through Toastmasters meetings only, but every day in our life. As I raise my glass, and I invite everyone in this room to raise your glass also. Okay, you're raising the glass, yes. And unmute, because we will raise servant leadership to Toastmasters International. Next year will be 100 years, and we're going all the way, 100 years and more, to servant leadership.
Servant
leadership.
Cheers.
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 Back over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Francois, for this wonderful toast. And we continue with our timer. Aftan, can you share with us your role today?
Of course, thank you very much, Toastmaster of the day, Carine. Today, I will be your timer, my fellow Toastmasters and guests, and I will show you the different lights. We have the green light, the yellow light, and the red light. Please respect the time during your intervention, and I will give the respective times in the chats at the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Aftan, for your accurate description. So please in mind in the timing in order to finish at the right time. So it is very important. And we are entering in the part dedicated to speeches. We have one educational session with our first speaker, Paramjit Singh. I will ask our first evaluator to present the pathway dedicated to his Paramjit Singh. Please, Hannah, can you describe his pathway?
Certainly, Madam Toastmaster of the Day. Paramjit is speaking from the path Leadership Development, Level 3, Researching and Presenting. The purpose of this project is for the member to learn or review basic research methods and present a well-organized, well-researched speech on any topic. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Hannah, for this description of his pathway. So the speech is about servant leadership, going by Robert Greenleaf, and skills required to be a servant leader. Let me welcome our first speaker dedicated to educational session. Speech title, Servant Leadership, The Way Forward. Paramjit Singh, Servant Leadership, The Way Forward. Over to you, Paramjit.
Let me share my screen. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Good evening, my fellow Toastmasters and the servant leaders. In year 1995, something happened in my life which unfolded something new for me. I was given the responsibility by my managing director to represent the company in the Industrial Association for their annual meeting. This association is basically people who are solopreneurs or small or medium entrepreneurs. During the discussions, the pivotal point of not getting the enough growth was the non-cooperation of the employees. Everybody was blaming the employees for their attitude, for their higher salaries, expectations, and their non-cooperation. And then I intervened and I asked the permission from the president to ask few questions to the fellow members. My first question was, I know all of you from last so many years and I have seen you people growing. What was the mode of transport you were doing when you started your journey as an entrepreneur? And what are the vehicles you are driving now? Everybody gave the answer, like started from a bicycle, and now they are having cars. Maybe best of the cars available in that time in India, like Maruti Esteem 1000, Daiwo Silo. And I asked, what about your employees or workers? Oh, they're coming from the bicycles and still maybe they are on the bicycles. And my next question was, oh, what about their personal lives? What about your education of the children? And most of their children were studying in the best school. And they were a pin drop silence when I asked about the employees' children. They were not having any awareness of how the employees are living and how their families are living. After a silence, the president told me, Paramjit, I know you are still speaking from an employee's perspective. You are still an employee. It's very difficult to build the organization. It's very easy to preach, but very, very difficult to practice. We will see when you become an entrepreneur or a leader, how you will do and how you help your employees. I didn't deter from the way I had been already helping my fellow co-workers. And throughout my journey of a life as a leader, as an entrepreneur, as a manager now, I never left the empathy for my workers or my co-workers. I always thought of their growth. And I got the wonderful results. However, that time I was not at all knowing that I'm following the principles of a servant leadership. Really, I came to know even about the term servant leadership when I was given a chance to raise a toast on servant leadership in our leadership speak when I joined leadership. Then I came to know that there's a term, there's a leadership style called servant leadership. And this is not an old thing. This is very ancient. We have been following, our leaders have been following the servant leadership from so many years, so many of centuries. If we see our leaders, like Jesus, he is one of the best servant leader. He's shown so many of his traits like a servant leader, but I like one of his best thing about servant leadership when he say, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant. And whoever wants to be first must be your slave. That is something very phenomenal for a leadership. Lao Tzu, the greatest leader forgets himself and attends to the development of others. Wow, development of others, the key point. And then Chanakya, an Indian Arthashastri. The leader shall consider as good not what pleases himself, but what pleases his subjects. There are only 3 examples I have given here. There are numerous examples and numerous quotes from different leaders which tells us about the servant leadership. Even our monarchs were basically to serve the people. However, the things turns upside down. It's a century old, but in the modern era, the servant leadership word was coined by Robert Greenleaf in 1977 when he wrote a first essay, The Servant as a Leader. This was inspired by a story from Hermann Hesse, The Journey to the East. This is a story of a young boy, Leo, who was traveling with the conclave, who was doing menial chores, helping them, even singing for them, guiding them whenever required. However, he also lost one day. There was chaos all around. People were looking for him, but he was not available. So the conclave was abandoned. And later, after 1 year, the author sees the Leo as a premier who actually has sponsored the conclave. And he was really inspired by his stance that he was a servant first. He was the one who wanted to serve, not the leader first. It was from the core of his heart to serve and then to lead. And that's what Greenleaf gave one of the best examples and well definition of the servant leadership. When he says, the servant leader is the servant first. It begins with the natural feeling that one wants to serve first. Then conscious choice brings one to aspire to lead. He is not a leader first. He is a servant first. And that was the Leo also, who was a servant first, not a leader first. And he was knowing that this is given to him, entrusted to him, and he has not asked for the leadership. That is the core of a servant leadership. And in the modern world, we have so many of servant leaders, few of them. We have Nelson Mandela, Mahatma Gandhi, Abraham Lincoln, Martin Luther King, Mother Teresa, all of them, if we see, they never started to become leaders. They came to serve the community because from the heart, they wanted to serve the community. Of course, people make them the leaders. Do you feel they came for glory? They came for getting the richness? No, they were even ready to die for the cause of humanity and die for the cause of community. That is what they were. They were the servant first, and we made them leaders, and still they are our leaders. Now, this leadership qualities are a little different. But Mr. Carine, the working associate with servant leader, he gave us few characteristics of a leadership, a servant leadership. He talks about listening and understanding is the first characteristics. We should be knowing. And active listening means what? is being said, what is not being said, what is behind the lines. And he supports the decision of his followers. That is what is very important, because 21% of the failures in most of the companies are due to the miscommunication. The second characteristic is empathy. He has to understand his people, understand the value system of them, understand what they are in life, and respect them the way they are. Appreciate them whenever it is required. Every organization has a people and we have a problem, and he should know how to help solve problems, conflicts, even internal conflicts, and encourage and support his followers. Awareness. He should have self-awareness, awareness of the situation and people, awareness of the world around him, what is happening. And he should be aware of all things around him. Persuasion. He has to convince his people, not coerce, not take the advantage of power of saying them yes, because they will not part of your decision from the heart if you don't convince them. So persuasion is very important. And he should be effective at building consensus within the groups. Conceptualization. Think beyond the limit of operating. He should have a long-term goals, long-term vision, and able to concept new ideas, new ways of business. Foresight. Identify outcome or consequences of the future. Understand lessons from the past, the realities of the present, and work upon them, understanding all these factors. Stewardship. I like this one where he says, treat them like assets. Don't treat your people like machines. Treat them like assets. And committed and helping and serving others. I think this is the ninth characteristic is the most important one. Commitment to the growth of people. Deeply committed to the growth of the people. Recognize their responsibility to nurture professional and personal growth in their employees. And I think the first 5 of all the characteristics, and this one, a person needs a wonderful emotional intelligence. I'll share something over here. As I started from the workers, one of the gentlemen joined me as a foreman, and he was working in the same company before for 27 years. And he was traveling daily on a bicycle about 10 kilometers. And when he joined my company, he was still on the cycle. And I asked him one day, Kirpal, why don't you buy a scooter? Sir, I don't save enough money to buy a scooter, motorbike. Okay, if I help you and I pay your installment, half of your installment, will you be able to do it? He said, okay. So we bought a scooter for him and I paid half of installment for about 4 years. You know, the day he bought a scooter, he was in a crying. He said, sir, nobody thought of me in 27 years. I was still doing the same thing. And now he worked like, and he was coming in the night also for the night shift, morning shift, and helped me. There were 10 people I bought the scooter. One of the employee where his children was not able to study because of the money. I put them in the schools. This comes from my heart. It is not that I'm saying that I'm doing something great. I never feel like I'm doing that. I feel like it's coming from my heart. It's my duty to serve those people. And I tell my present workers also, don't come to the office by just getting salary. Let us get something better. Let us understand one another and have a wonderful opportunity to be service to one another. So this one, I feel this is one of the main core important point of growth of the people working with you. Building community. Of course, without building community, you really cannot achieve anything. Build a strong community in his organization build a sense of unity and wholeness in the organization. Of course, these all are for a servant leader. But when a company, an organization takes on and started using servant leadership, what is the best way to apply that leadership? This is very well explained by Ken Blanchard. He said you have to flip the pyramid. See, in the traditional leadership, the leader is at the top, management, employees, and customers. But when you flip the pyramid, you have customers at the top, employees at second, management, and then leader. So when the employees are happy, the customers are certainly going to be happy because they're going to give the best service from the core of their heart. So this is one of the very useful way to start an servant leadership in an organization by flipping the chart. And a lot of organizations and companies have used this for their benefit and have enormous benefit. Few of them are positive working environment, better teamwork and collaboration, improved innovation, reduced turnover of employees, accelerated learning, future leaders develop. They become naturally, it's become natural phenomena, and strong culture. And everybody wants the results in numbers. So there was a survey by daily restaurants and see what are the results. They are really so phenomenal that everyone should use servant leadership in his organization. It was done for 961 employees, and you can see 71 daily outlets and 10 metropolitan cities. 6% improvement in the job performance, 8% increase in customer service, and 50% increase in employees retention. Wow, what a great 50%. So why not use it? Why not become a servant leader and start a company with a leadership, servant leadership? A lot of companies in the world are using. 100 of companies out of Fortune 500 companies are using the leadership, servant leadership, and few of them you may be knowing, most of us be knowing Chick-fil-A. It is one of the first company who started. The Home Depot, TD Industrial, Southwest, FedEx, UPS, Starbucks. These are the companies who has got benefited by using the servant leadership in their office. And the company which used the flip the pyramid has got the best results is Southwest Airlines. When the Colin Bell said what Ken Blanchard has said, we do build our pyramid a bit different. At the top of our pyramid in terms of priority is our employees and delivering to them proactive customer service. Employees, customers, management, they have changed, a small change in their pyramid. And I like one of her quotes when she says, our company is not the company of planes, it is the company of people. Wow, what a quote. I love that because it's not a company who were on the plane, and that's why they had 4 planes in 1971, 671 planes in 2011. And they are still rising. The other company, FedEx. CEO Fred Smith said, when people are placed first, they will provide the highest possible service and profits will follow. And 1996, they started and used people's service profit, which really helped them to grow. TD Industries, a mechanical manufacturing industry, Arnold McDowell said, at TD Industries, we have a diverse, people-centered culture built on a foundation of trust. We accomplish this through a servant leadership philosophy that puts others first. And to my surprise, every employee, even he joins today, he is given the book, The Servant as a Leader, to start his journey in that company. So many people under companies have got benefit. Of course, numbers speaks. If we see the servant-led companies have gained a net profit 24.2% as compared to S&P 500 and good to great companies. And if you want to know more about servant leadership and want to implement in your life, please read few of the books. Leaders Eat Last, Simon Sinek, The Servant as a Leader, 7 Pillars of Servant Leadership. Now, how to recognize that are you a servant leader or not a servant leader, or he's a servant leader or not servant leader? First of all, understand, do those served grow as persons? Do they, while being served, become healthier, wiser, fair, more autonomous, more likely themselves to become servants? What is the effect of on the least privileged in society? Will be benefit, or at least will not further deprived? I feel this is a high time. When the cars are all over the world, the servant leadership is the only way forward to have a wonderful world order. Thank you very much. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Paramjit, for this incredible presentation, very clear. We can understand clearly all you said about this notion, so thank you for that. Let's continue with our first speaker. So we call our first evaluator, Fursey. Please, can you introduce the pathway for Leya? Please welcome Fursey.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Leya Musunga is going to be working on pathway strategic relationships using descriptive language. When I asked her what her goals were outside of Toastmasters, she said she wants to be a better communicator. She would like for me to focus on her storytelling in terms of how well she conveys her message. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Fursey. So this is my pleasure to introduce Leya. She wants to share a bit about parts of Zambian wedding. So, Leya Musunga, patience is key. Patience is key. Leya Musunga, the floor is yours.
We travel not to escape life, but for life not to escape us. Good day, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Who here loves to travel? Let me see by a show of hand or even the virtual hand, you can go ahead and do that. I can see several hands going up. A few weeks ago, my friend and I decided to travel to Maputo to celebrate her birthday. I love to travel. I've been to several countries, and it was going to be my first time traveling to Maputo. One of the reasons why I love to travel is because vacation calories don't count, right? Another reason I love traveling is that when you travel, you see amazing places, and it ends up making you becoming a good storyteller. Also, as Hans C. Andersen once said, to travel is to live. We arrived at our hotel knowing full well that the following morning we had to wake up and be at our destination place where they were picking us up to take us to the border. We woke up bright and early. We had to meet at 6 p.m. I am an early bird, so I made sure my friend and I were at the place they were picking us up 20 minutes before time. I slowly realized that the other people we were traveling with, as we had engaged a travel agent, that they lived by the principle, better late than never. Yes, fellow Toastmasters and guests, we ended up leaving a little bit later than I would have hoped, almost 40 minutes from the time that they had set. Despite this late start, we had a very enjoyable journey. Time flew by as we enjoyed the scenery. Eventually, after 5 hours of travel, we arrived at the South Africa and Mozambique border. We were all tired and weary of sitting down, and we were excited to finally be able to stretch our legs. We got into the office where we would have our passport stamps by immigration. One of the other ladies we were traveling with, Teboho, she was in front of me. So she went up to the counter, presented her passport, it was stamped, and she slowly moved along. So she decided to wait for me as we had been sitting together in the car. I went up to the counter, presented my passport, and then it was stamped. And as we were slowly exiting the building, the immigration officer called out Deboho's name. Deboho, come back to the counter. We both turned around surprised. What was going on? I could see that they were talking to her in very hushed tones. And before I knew it, they slowly told her she had to go to an office with them. I felt my hand being dragged as she pulled me along to the office. She didn't want to be there alone. As we sat down and the officers explained the situation, we were shocked to discover that she had been flagged and that there was a criminal arrest that had been issued for her because of a fraud charge that was done. She indicated to the officers that her ID had previously been lost and probably someone had stolen her identity because there's no way she would have committed the crime. We slowly sat there as she tried to unravel the mystery of what could have happened. I tried to help her to call people in Johannesburg to try and find out if someone could be able to give more information. One thing I realized as we were sitting there with the police is that you had to practice patience. I was actually amazed at just how calm and patient Teboho was. If it was me, I would have been operating on either of two modes. One, I would have been crying like a river, or two, I would have been angry and ready to explode like a volcano. Slowly but surely, we unraveled the quagmire of the situation. And Teboho promised that she would be able to report back to the police office in Joburg upon our return from our trip. And that is how the officers let us leave the office. And this was after 6 hours of staying in that office. I must confess, everyone on that journey was tired and weary by the time we arrived in Maputo at 8 p.m. I felt that I was ready to sleep for a year. One thing I realized is that whenever you find yourself in an impossible situation, always remember that patience is the key for you not to lose the battle. And as a quote I once read that said, patience is the road to wisdom. It was good that as we sat there in that office, that Teboho was calm. and she answered all the questions that were required. So I hope the next time you face an impossible situation, that you will remember that patience is key. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you very much, Leya, for this incredible story. And also, it inspires a lot. And also, we can learn from this story. Please, let's continue with our second speaker, Sandra Valks. Please, Tony, can you describe her pathway?
Oh, did you call my name?
Tony, yes.
Okay, sorry, I missed that part. Oh, I gotta listen. Good morning, hello, everybody. Sandra Valks is our next speaker. Her pathways is from the presentation mastery, level number 3. She's doing an elective project. Her speech content should be engaging, and she should be speaking in an entertaining manner that kind of moves us. Sandra should remain aware of our audience response and adapt the speech accordingly. Now, if Sandra appears to be talking at the audience instead of interacting with them, she is not fulfilling the goal of her speech. But we know Sandra is going to do that. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you very much, Tony, for this description of pathway. Hello, Toastmasters. Today, our compassionate queen of straight talk is looking to not only pique your interest, but get your curiosity cranked to full throttle. So many of us, have wondered about her time in prison. 17 years and counting. She asks us, have you ever reflected on what life is like inside a prison? Coach Sandra, please inspire us. What? You are going to inspire us about prison? Really? Her speech title, The Comforts of Prison, Sandra Valks, The Comforts of Prison. Over to you.
Thank you so much. What an amazing place is prison. You know what happens? I've got friends in those places, and I know people that know people. That's the first benefit of going to prison. Oh, do you think so? Well, you know, when you're in prison, quite often you can just escape all the worries of the world. I'm looking at the benefits and the comforts of being in prison. Yay for prison! I'm in Canada, so I'm not sure it speaks to prisons all over the world. I've heard of some pretty tough ones, but ours are pretty civil, somewhat. Not if you ask the inmates, because I have asked. Oh, I'm not supposed to ask, but I have asked. And that's all part of mixing. So part of the comforts of prison for the inmates is to have beautiful volunteers like me that are determined to keep coming back, keep coming back, keep coming back. But even though they have free room and board at our expense, you might know, they have education. If it's free out here, it's free for them in there. That's good. They have companionship. How many of us would like to have companionship, never be lonely? Except we have to watch our back. You have to be careful who you're going to be the companion with. And showers? Well, they're happy if they have a chair to put under the door to make sure that the door is not going to be open when they're having their shower. Yes, we can look at the inmates and think about all the comforts. How many of us have said, oh yeah, they have TVs in there. Like, what kind of punishment is that? You know what? Even if they have a television, even if they have even a private room, some of them have their own private rooms, if they've moved up to that level. And if they're in a prison that allows. But even if they don't, if you're in a higher security, you can be guaranteed you have a private room. It's called a cell, and there's the bars. Not like Bath, where I go, where they might actually have a door. They might even have their own little key, which I'm sure the guards can get through if they needed to. So those are some of the benefits. Helps development. Well, in Canada, we're into that problem of a long wait line. In prison, you get your health looked after. Well, eventually. You're not going to be real quick. So what's this all about? These comforts. Well, I go in and help them through Toastmasters. And so there's another benefit. I go in, my own cost, my own time, and help them gain confidence in how to think. And I shift their minds. I call it mind shift. And slowly they start to come out of themselves and recognize, I can have camaraderie, but I must be guarded. They learn about what is safe and appropriate. Even when they get out of prison, if they come to a community club, they're going to learn how to be safe and appropriate. But what's that got to do? You know, at the end of the day, they still look to the sky. They look out and see the green grass and where they are. It's on the lake as well. It's beautiful out there, and they're caged, absolutely caged. Only thing that can fly is their mind and their dreams. And when they get out, and that's prison. That's prison. So the comforts of prison don't quite outshine the comforts of our freedom. Out here, we are free. But I want to ask you, how are you any different than a prisoner, an inmate? Are you actually growing and blooming right where you are planted? This is what I encourage the guys to do. What they're going to do, they're going to take this course or learn that or do whatever. When they get out, I said, you might not get out. I can be killed going home. You might not be here to get out. You need to bloom where you are planted. And I can tell you in prison, that's a tough thing to do. It's a tough thing to do. And I'm just going to ask you, how tough is it on the outside? How are we any different than those inmates? How are you, how am I any different? We are not any different other than the physical obstacles. Because what's happening? We get in this little comfort zone. It's comfortable here. Sandra, should you go in the debate club? No, I'm just new. I'm watching. No, Sandra, tap, 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 tap. Get out of your comfort zone. Get out of your comfort zone. Okay. Well, I had a blast because somebody said, Baron said, Sandra, you say Toastmasters is the place to learn. You get out here and go to debate club. And so tap, tap, tap. So we see we have our own prison. Tap, tap, tap. It's like climbing a mountain. We climb. Oh my goodness, it's tired. And we reach a plateau. Now, some of us stop at that plateau and say, that's enough mountain for me. But others of us learn that that's our new comfort zone. And pretty soon we see there's more. And we tap, 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 tap on that comfort zone, that box we've got ourselves in. The interesting thing about the comfort zone and the box that we have put around ourselves is that guess what? Who has the key? Who is the jailer? Who is building those fences? It's like being a bird in a cage, sitting there, and eventually somebody just left the door open. Sometimes we allow our minds just to leave the door open. We leave the door open, and there we sit. Oh, this is boring. I wish there was something to do. And there we sit in a gilded cage, and the door is open. We are our own jailer. We are our own, very much our own guard. We are very much our prisoner in our little box. We need to bloom where we are planted, out here in the freedom. So I want you to go tap, 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 tap. What can I do? Tap, tap, tap. And I do have a closing quote that I want to use. I need you to become. Who do you need to become? And get into that action. And here, in the wise words of Chat GPT, quote, within your comfort zone, you find security. Beyond it, you discover your wings. Embrace the unknown, for it is there that true potential takes flight. Ladies and gentlemen, I invite you out of your cage and take flight. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Sandra, for this wonderful story and also very inspirational story you share with us. Let's continue with our third speaker, Jennifer. I will ask our evaluator, Kenneth, to describe her pathway. Kenneth, are you with her?
Thank you so much, TMOD. Good evening, Toastmasters. Helen Jennifer Ghosh is going to give her speech on level 2, project 3, introduction to Toastmasters mentoring under motivation strategies. The purpose of the project is for Jennifer to clearly define how Toastmasters envisions mentoring. And I'll be able to see Jennifer share some aspects of her previous experience as a protege. Over to you, TMOD.
Thank you very much, Kenneth. So let's please welcome our third speaker, Jennifer. Jennifer is following a path that resonates with her heart. She loves people and working towards motivating women to go forward in leadership to capture their dreams. Our speech title, Lifelong Learner. Jennifer Ghosh, Lifelong Learner. Over to you.
Hello, leaders. Mentoring is a word that is widely used, and we would always have been either a mentor or a protege at some point in our lives. Frankly speaking, I realized the value of mentoring after I joined Toastmasters. Now, a true definition of mentoring, though, is when someone shares their knowledge, skills, and experiences with another to help the person to progress in life, to become a better version of themselves. Hence, if you've shared your knowledge, your skills, or your experiences with others, or have people sharing this with you, my dear leaders, you've been involved in a mentoring program, either as a mentor or a protege. Now, my first mentors were my wonderful parents and teachers in school and colleges. They taught me my first lesson in unconditional leadership, service leadership, and how to be a very good human being. My second mentor was my dear husband, Ashish. He was kind, supportive, and he gave me that space to grow and shine. May his good soul rest in peace. Then came my mentors who were seniors to me in my organization or my professional space. I truly respected them and looked up to them for guidance and for support. so that I could perform and excel in my professional journey. Lastly, but not the least, not my salute to each and every Toastmasters mentor who walks the path of helping me as a prodigy by being empathetic and supportive. Toastmasters mentors have helped me understand how to prioritize, set goals, and to develop an awareness about my strengths and weaknesses. Yes, as a prodigy, I had many unsung mentors who did not even know that I looked up to them as mentors. Silently, I would observe these wonderful people and learn from them. And I am definitely not ashamed to confess this. My mentors in Toastmasters have been many, but one person I would like to throw light on is an unsung mentor who has been a friend, a confidant, and support every step of my journey, both inside and outside Toastmasters. Oyan Pal, my mentor's name, Oyan Pal, DTM, is an Indian author and superb public speaker. He is best known for his novel, Confessions on an Island. He has also co-authored India's #1 first composite, Crossed and Knotted, which has made it into the Limca Books of Record. Trust me, a big shout out to this person who is humble, very humble in spite of reaching the pinnacle of success in his life, both professionally as well as in Toastmasters. He remains grounded and helpful. My relationship with my mentor is that of a mother and son. He is basically approximately 20 plus years younger to me in age. Now, I recall a time when I was traveling with my mentor to various cities across Eastern India. These cities like Jamshedpur, Bihar, and southern parts of Eastern India, we were going there to demonstrate and open new Toastmasters clubs. These cities had colleges, and the college students in Bihar and Jamshedpur were so amazed and in awe of Oyan because he would speak to the students in a very beautiful way. Students were mesmerized with the style of his speaking. He was very poetic and he had a way with words. I would look on at my mentor in awe and in pride. My mentor, being the humble human being that he is, never failed to make me feel as important in such circumstances, in spite of him being on the spotlight. I have my mentor's time all the time. Whenever I write speeches, he is there to help me, whether it's day or night. I just want to tell you one thing. A mentor is someone who helps you, guides you, and leads you in the correct path. He will always help you to do your best and forget the rest. So I salute my mentor today Toastmaster Oyunpal, DTM Oyunpal. He's a 3 times DTM. And I thank you all for listening to my story as a prodigy. I am a proud prodigy. What about you? What do you say, Toastmaster? Are you a proud prodigy?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jennifer, for sharing your experience of mentorship. So in Toastmaster Club, it is very important to have a mentor and also to share your own experience to improve your different skills. So let's continue with our first speaker, Deniel Omondi. I will ask our evaluator, Nurul, can you share with us his pathway?
Yes, Toastmaster of the day. Yes, today Deniel Omondi is going to deliver his first speech on pathway presentation mastery. So this is going to be his first speech, and he will be introducing himself in his own style with a proper structure of a speech. So I will be evaluating him in normal requirements. In addition to that, he requested me to evaluate how the pace of the delivery, his pace of delivery, and the Zoom presence. Looking for your very good speech, Omondi. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much, Nehul. So please welcome our first speaker, Deniel. The origins of great service to others with one's relationship to chivalry. Where and how you relate it, even in challenging situations, where the aim is just to get by or get home. His speech title, The Death of Chivalry, Deniel Omondi, The Death of Chivalry. Over to you.
Hello, Toastmasters, welcome guests. The coldest month in the year in Kenya is July, winter, 13 degrees centigrade, 50 degrees Fahrenheit. That's when I was born. I'm the second born in a family of 5, born to a mother and father from the Luo nation. And please note those words, the Luo nation. Why do I say this? My parents were very well structured in how they did everything. The naming of us, as for the Luo nation, I was born in the morning. So when you hear Omondi, born in the morning, when they got up earliest in the morning, my elder brother named Dennis. I then was named Deniel. Do you know what my brother who followed me and my sister were called? My brother, David. My sister, Yvette. So when the last born was born, she was called Yvonne. Triple D, double Y. Family from the Luo nation. We have ways we do things. My mother is a teacher by profession, but she changed her profession to be a travel consultant working in the hotel industry. Our home was always open to guests. She served well, and that's why I watched service being done, how service was offered. Our meals, we had choices. If you didn't like this, my mom showed you had another choice or something else. In a house, yes, we were treated with chivalry. We were important. So how we were treated, we were children. She used to come home and make sure that we had all that we needed. So if we didn't want that kind of food, here was something else. We had a choice. Our home was always full of cousins coming in because we had the best meals. We were not a wealthy family, but we ate well. We enjoyed well. And because she was in the travel industry, we also traveled a lot. My first travel out of the country was when I was 8 years old. Italy, Roma, Italy, 8 years old. And in that time in Italy, being an African family was a thing to behold. So this areas of travel, of hotels, is something that was born in me early in my lifetime. And we lived with it. I saw service. My mother used to always tell me, serve. If you do something, serve well. It was ingrained in my mind. Treat others well. Be chivalrous. Look after your sisters. Give them space. Serve them first, then you think about them. So you can imagine my shock on me when I began working in a hotel in town. I finished work, rush hour. I was rushing home to go home, and I had to get into a public service vehicle. They call them matatus. Matatu is 3 of 3, and I'm not sure why they call it of 3. This amount you pay for this service is very low. It's very small, a few cents in dollars, a few cents. Now rush hour, everybody's getting home, and there I was trying to get home also. But as a low gentleman, and you know, they say that low men are the most chivalrous. Women love them because they treat them well. So here I was rushing home. Everybody is rushing to get into the travel matatu. Men and women pushing and shoving and getting off. Of course, for me, ladies first. Ladies first. As long as I was doing that, I never got into a matatu because it's a 14-seater. 30 of us trying to get in, I never got in. To reach that point when I started saying, if I continue being chivalrous, I will never get in. So at some point, after 2 hours, I closed my eyes, didn't look at who was around, and just shut my way in and got in. But this is the death of chivalry, because when you cannot take care of somebody else, how can you be chivalrous? How can you be comfortable with yourself? And I get to think about it. In the service industry, how we treat people is what brings them back, even if the situation doesn't allow it. So create a situation where you can treat people better. Don't be in a rush hour place. Get to a place where you don't have to rush, where you can still open the door for a woman and tell her ladies first and get in there and still get home. Hotels, serve the people first. Think about them first. And how do you make sure that children doesn't die? Think about the people who you're serving. This person is important. This person, as Christians, they're children of God. They're royalty. So death of chivalry will come if we forget those we serve, if we think more about what we want to achieve than what we are, than where we are. Death of chivalry only comes in those situations. So get out of that situation. And if you are chivalrous, you earn more, you do better, and you're much better. You feel much better for yourself. In my life, chivalry hasn't done it. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Dan. Thank you for this wonderful story. So let's continue with our last speaker. So I will ask our evaluator, Sandra, to describe a pathway of Angela. Please welcome Sandra.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. Angela will present today from Effective Coaching Pathway Level 2, Understanding Your Leadership Style. This project is about to share her personal experience with leadership and identify what is her individual style. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Sandra. So please welcome Angela Byrne. She was the president of a Rotary Club for 2 years. Her speech shares the leadership style that she used while being president. Her speech titled, How Do I Lead? Angela Byrne, how do I lead? Over to you.
Hello, fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests. Have you ever been in a situation where you had to make a difficult decision? Raise your hands. Well, I'm sure at some point in our lives, all of us have been in that situation. For 2 years, I was the president of Scarborough Twilight Rotary Club. I was really excited and nervous when they asked me to be the president. I had only been a member of the club for 2 years, and I didn't feel that I was qualified enough to do the role. But after much persuasion, I accepted the role to be the president. My first task as president was to come up with the goals for the coming year. I researched past goals that were set, and I used that as my benchmark to set the goal for this coming year. At our next meeting, I presented the goals to the members. Some members had a few problems with some of the goals, and so we did some adjustments and came up with goals that everyone could live with. I really relied on their expertise because a lot of the members were my senior, as well as they were long-time seasoned Toastmasters with 10, 15, long-time Rotarians with 10, 15 years experience. So I relied on their expertise. A motion was presented to pass the goals as we had written them, and the motion was passed. That style of leadership is a democratic style of leadership. That is a style of leadership I like to live with, because it makes everybody involved in the decision making. It's very inclusive. If everyone's happy with the goals, then everything's amicable. If everyone is not happy with the decisions, then there are problems. So I feel like this is the best way. I like to know that the members feel valued. Democratic style of leadership is very high, produces very highly productivity with the members. And as well, it allows everybody to feel valued, like their opinions matter. I received an email from Rotary International. They were launching a pilot project, which would be a website project, and they were trying to encourage the clubs to revamp their websites. Some websites were very old. Our website was been dormant for 10 years. I jumped at the opportunity because this was the goal that was on my list of goals, revamping our website. Next meeting, I told the members excitedly, about this email, that Rotary International would pay 50% of the cost to redo the website. But it had to be the first 50 clubs that signed up would be a part of the program, and it was time sensitive. So we had to make a decision quickly. I was suddenly a little bit sad because not every member agreed. They didn't want to do the website. They thought that was going to be a waste of money. They didn't understand why we needed a website. I tried to explain that this website would help us more on social media, as well as to get more members. They didn't care about social media. They didn't understand. As I said, a lot of members were senior members. They were not very adverse to change. And they were just trying to get used to Zoom, and they didn't want to hear anything else about any more technology. Well, after that meeting, I realized that we were not going to make an amicable decision, that everybody was not going to agree. And so I used a different style of leadership, which is an autocratic style of leadership, where I made the decision myself. I felt that this change would be beneficial for the club. And since I couldn't get them to agree with it, I just went ahead and signed our club up for the project. Well, some members were not happy. They were actually very pissed off at me. But that was okay, because with my 2 years of leadership, I realized something. You can't make everybody happy. Everybody is not going to agree with your decisions. And so, as a leader, sometimes you have to stand up and make the difficult decisions. And so, as John Maxwell says, a leader knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Angela, for this wonderful story about the leadership style. And also, this is a great inspiration for us to learn from you. So this part is closed for the speeches. So thank you very much, Afton, for sharing the timing. And I will ask our Zoom master to post the vote. Please vote for the best speaker. You have 30 seconds to vote. Okay, let's continue with our second part dedicated to evaluations. So I will ask our general evaluator, Mohammad, to give the different report for your team evaluators. Please welcome warmly Mohammad.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the Day. You conducted today in a very unique style, and your accent was so unique that I really enjoyed it. So the evaluation is the key of learning in Toastmasters Club. This is the most important segment of the learning part. So Toastmaster gives us enormous skills, leadership skills, communication skills. Other organizations and institutions are also doing the same. But what is the difference between those institutions and this Toastmaster is the evaluation. So today I am playing the role of general evaluator, and in this segment I am going to evaluate first the prepared speech session and then the role players. So as a whole, I can start by giving my opening statement with the question that I asked myself, how do I lead? And I got the answer. I was looking for the way forward. And the answer is embrace servant leadership, cultivate passions, step beyond comfort, commit to perpetual learning, revitalize your chivalry as the code of conduct of courage, honor, and loyalty, thereby shaping a new era of effective and inclusive leadership. And now I have no ambiguity. How do I lead? Fellow Toastmasters and guests, welcome you in general evaluation. So the first speaker today was Paramjit Singh, and he was speaking from the Leadership Speak series, Servant Leadership, the Way Forward. And his speech will be evaluated by Hannah Smith. Hannah is a living example of servant leadership. Since 2020, she is showing the perpetual interest and affection for learning leadership skills. She has not left any stone unturned to adapt a leadership style in the changing world on online meeting. She think this is the time to redefine online leadership skills. A member of 3 clubs, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcoming Hannah Smith to evaluate the leadership speak.
Mr. General Evaluator, before I go on, don't forget to have the evaluations of the Toast and the Toastmaster of the day. Do you want to do that first and then let me evaluate?
Yeah, I have already announced that I will do first the prepared speeches, and then I will come back to the role players.
Okay, thank you.
Most welcome.
The servant leader is a leader first, the desire to serve the community and lead by example. Mr. General Evaluator, Toastmasters and Paramjit, you requested me to focus on your engagement with the audience. Unfortunately, I could not see their reaction. Most of the videos were switched off. Maybe we should have requested beforehand that you needed engagement from the audience and asked them to turn on the videos. Nevertheless, your speech made a great impact on me in mentioning about building a community with a strong culture and about your inspiration and duty to service, which resulted in a 50% employee retention. Indeed, a great result of leadership, of true leadership. Mentioning the 10 aspects of listening and understanding, empathy, foresight, commitment, building a community surely increased my awareness of people, service, profit. I noticed that you remained still in one place when you spoke, yet I realized this cannot be changed, or I don't know how to do it, with a cameo PowerPoint presentation. In online meetings, we usually only see half the person, and body language is thus utmost importance to convey the powerful message, and hand gestures are thus included in body language. I must compliment you on your eye contact. This was powerful. Instead, or in spite of wearing glasses, there was no reflection on them. Also, your vocal variety. The volume of your speech was excellent and built the tension in me and was extremely vivid. Pauses, instead of using crutch words or filler words, you paused and thus created time for me to process the important message. I also observed how powerful, or how passionately and energetically you inspired me with your message about servant leadership. Your call to action and showing me the 3 books to read about great leaders encouraged me, and that servant leadership is the only way forward. A true servant leader responds by listening first. Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Hannah, for your comprehensive evaluation. And I think that you have covered almost all the area. Just I want to comment on the presentation, the slides presented by Paramjit Singh. I'm sure that you are really very expert in presenting PowerPoint presentation. And what I like in your presentation is that the difference between the traditional leadership and the servant leadership. You inverted the traditional leadership and become the servant leadership. That lesson I learned from your speech, and all the quotations were really very attractive, and it was giving us a good lesson to learn. Thank you very much for this presentation. My second speaker, the first prepared speech was delivered by Leya Musunga. Patience is key, and the evaluator is Fursey Gotuaco. Fursey Gotuaco is, I think he doesn't need any introduction. Joining us from Texas, an executive speech coach, a servant leader, a motivational speaker, trainer. While you speak or evaluate a speech, it looks like a complete education package. There is always a new thing to learn from his presentation. Friendly nature, going to evaluate the first speaker's speech, Leya Musunga's speech. Fursey, please.
Thank you, Madam. Excuse me, sir. Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Madam Toastmaster Leya Musunga, or shall I say, Master Storyteller. Great job with your story. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So much energy. And that is really the key to storytelling. Are you transferring energy? Wow, there's stuff happening. There's all kinds of energy happening in your speech. Your hands right up here, your hands are moving, your hands are powerful, your eyes, and not only eye focus, but eye gestures, riveting. That's terrific. And then your voice booming and powerful, throwing us into it. I think all of that works for you. I think all of that is going to move you forward as a storyteller. I want to talk about a few other things, if that's okay, Leya. And to do that, I need to move bubbles around. Clarity of thought. When you told the story, it was very clear what was happening next. You paused, you paced yourself beautifully so that the audience understood you. I think you have a sense of what the audience is hearing from you. That's great. No one likes a storyteller who's just going on even while the audience went off and got coffee. So I appreciate the fact that you understand it from the point of view of the audience. That's terrific. Woo, bubbles. Word choice. I loved your word choice. That's part of your project, is heightening the story with verbiage and plot and devices. Great job on the plot. We followed it. But I really liked your word choice. I'd pop that balloon if I could. Weary. You said that one twice. Quagmire. Good word. Keep them coming, all right? I think you could add even more words, because in humor, and your story was funny, in humor, we love those words. And we love the exaggeration of the voice. So make sure that you're doing that. Repetition. You repeated your theme very well. Now I want you to use repetition for humor and exaggeration. So if you say, we had to leave her behind. You know what I mean? Use repetition to pound it home, right? Because the ways to be funny are louder, faster, funnier. Get it? See what I did there? Okay, very good. So use repetition. Use repetition. You like that one? Okay, here we go. Keep it moving forward. We talked about the gestures. Your gestures are powerful, but they're right here. What I really want to see is the gestures starting from the shoulders so that you're up here, so that you can do this. And I want to see movement. You stood up for your speech. That was great. Now use movement. So you can say, we left her behind. You know, and you even did this one time. You went, the key is patience. You did that. Do it more. Keep it coming, Leya. So nice job with the gestures. Keep them going. Keep the movement coming. And here's the most important message. Tension. Hold tension. Hold tension. Don't let go of the emotion. Don't let go of the story. Hold it, and then explain it to your audience. Yeah? So be able to hold attention. That's the key to storytelling. You're going to be fantastic. Thank you, Madam Storyteller. You are going to be leading through storytelling just as you wanted. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Fursey. I told you that Fursey, when he speaks, he creates a creativity from himself and present it to the audience. And I learned a lot from your presentation and evaluation as well. So what I can add here that I learned from the story, Cry Like a River. And I am going to use another a step ahead, Cry Like an Ocean. And what I want to add here that you said the stamping of the passport, instead of saying like this, you could use like, I passed the immigration, but she didn't, and she was arrested. In this way, you could take your story forward and you would get some time to do some more things in your story. So the second speaker, the second prepared speaker was Sandra Fox and Comfort of Prison, and her speech will be evaluated by Tony Bratton. Tony has completed many speeches from dynamic leaderships, and I traced his track record and found that he speaks on rules of six, employees' prosperity, ethical dilemma, imagination, kindness. There are a lot of words, and he says that there are a few words that can make a big difference. Past District 86 Director and Business Consultant, Tony Bratton. Please evaluate the speech of Sandra.
Thank you, GE. Fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests, and Sandra. Tap, tap, tap. Get out of our own prison, embrace the unknown, and bloom in the sunlight. Really like that. The way you built the story of inmates inside their cells, their prisons, and how you transitioned to our own sometimes fixed mindsets that imprison ourselves was a great analogy and transition. The way you delivered the presentation was superb because you were supposed to interact with the audience. You asked a lot of questions. You were talking, with us. You had asking, and then your gestures, to the left and then to the right. Your vocal variety. You spoke up and you spoke down appropriately. Very, very masterful. And you stood and you had great presence. You filled not just our ears, but our minds with your story. I have a suggestion, and Sandra, all it is, it's an enhancement because there's nothing wrong with your presentation. Perhaps a story, a quick story of, maybe Jack in prison who's done something to grow in prison, or maybe someone outside of prison, older, like Carine, who joined a book club to share ideas. 20 seconds. Time is always tight, so maybe less time on the comforts of prison. And 20 seconds perhaps dedicated to a story, because you know how stories anchor us. Well, great analogy, great message. Get out, do things. Go from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. Great deliveries. You know, tap, tap, tap. Great rhetorical device. You know, Sandra, I would say that was some of the best tap dancing since Fred Astaire. So masterfully done. Thank you for a great presentation and a good memory. Back to you, GE.
Thank you very much, Tony. It was really very interesting evaluation of a very interesting speech. And I learned from the speech with comfort zone, you feel safe. Beyond that, you discover your wings. That was a good lesson. And thank you, Tony. Please give a big round of applause to the speakers and evaluators both for such a wonderful presentation. And now the third prepared speech was delivered by Jennifer Ghosh, and it was a lifelong learn story. And her speech will be evaluated by Kenneth Kajora. Kenneth Kajora recently joined Leadership Speak Toastmasters Club, and he has presented a very successful presentation on leadership skills. Please help me welcoming Kenneth Kajora.
Thank you so much, Mohammed. Jennifer, well done. Indeed, lifelong learner. You started well, were loud and clear. Good eye contact, and I saw you using your hand gestures. Well done on that, Jennifer. You shared aspects of your previous experience as a protege and the kind of support, guidance you got from your mentors. This really helped you to become a better version of you in your life. I loved when you went ahead and recognized the Toastmaster mentor who was your friend and supported even outside Toastmasters. This showed a journey and experience that you shared, both of you, with your mentor. Well done to recognize your mentor. I would want to share some areas where you could become a better version of you in this journey. I recommend you incorporate vocal varieties in your speech. This would help us feel the expression you as a protege and a mentor, how you used to have your practice and training. You could also engage movement as you speak, not just in one area, but to move and express as you give your presentation. All in all, you had a wonderful speech, and I enjoyed your journey of mentorship. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Kenneth, for your thoughtful evaluation. And you have evaluated completely the speech. Now I'm moving to, please give a big round of applause to the evaluator and the speaker. Now I'm moving to the fourth speaker, Deniel Omondi Odero, The Death of Chivalry. And his speech will be evaluated by Nurul Munawwara. Nurul Munawwara is a past district director 82 since 2006. She is in Toastmaster. She is a member of Education Committee of Leadership Speak and an emerging leader of this club. Please help me welcoming Nurul Munawwara.
Thank you, General Evaluator. Yes, Speaker Deniel. Wow, the icebreaker speech. Yes, Deniel, we really enjoyed your speech because you are very good at storytelling. I think you must be feeling very cool during winter season because you are born during the winter season. I also did like your speech because you were able to coin up with the theme of the day, the servant leadership. It was fantastic by bringing your mother as an example, how she served, and also at the end, you brought your experience and how you serve. Thank you very much, Deniel. And you're very confident and you have structured your speech, keeping your topic in mind and started with your own story. It was a very well structured speech. And you had the gestures, hand gestures. Of course, you had a little bit of less of facial expression, but you had a very good hand gestures. And you are very confident, and congratulations, Deniel. But what I felt was the hand gestures was a bit too much. You could have managed with limited hand gestures. Same thing with me. I also do the same thing because most of the time, when you speak without knowing you, the hand comes up. So if you could have managed, it would have been fantastic. And also when it comes to the vocal variety, you could have worked a little bit more on your during your speech. And also the Zoom presence, what I felt, this is what I think you wanted me to focus. You were more close to the screen, so hardly you had a space on top of your body to the screen. Sometimes it cut across the screen. And also you didn't have much space on the left and right side. So if you had enough space, both right and left side and a top, your view would have been much better. And we could have seen more about yourself, and your hand gestures would have reflected a lot with your speech. But the pace of delivery was very good. I didn't see much difference on it, but I really liked how you delivered your speech, focusing on the servant leadership. I really liked the way that you really spoke about your mother. I think you had the experience of having buffet even at home with your mother's cooking. And I really liked the way that you delivered, how you enjoyed your traveling from the age of 8. So it was a fantastic story and fantastic speech. So congratulations, and over to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Nurul Munawwara, for the effective evaluation. And you have rightly pointed out the way how we present our speech on the screen. Thank you very much. Please give a big round of applause to Munawwara and the speaker. And the last and the fifth speech today was delivered by Angela Brown. How do I lead? How do I lead? And the evaluation will be done by Mariana Burka. She was Division T Director of, she is Division T Director of District 86. She has several roles in the leadership caliber of leadership speech. Please help me welcoming Mariana Burka to evaluate the speech.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. GE, fellow Toastmasters, and especially you, Angela. Thank you for sharing your leadership journey with us, because life is hard to go through it as an individual. But when we entrusted leadership on us, our life just gets way, way more complicated. And thank you for sharing your struggles. I enjoyed that you lead this project on from your personal perspective. You didn't go point by point with all the leadership style, which we hear many times. You weaved your story and point to that, the leadership style that is your chosen one, and what you taught, some that you were forced into. And I want to talk about that. You are a democratic leader. You like inclusivity. And that is a great thing. But just because you don't reach 100% acceptability from people you are leading, that doesn't mean that you're an autocratic leader. Please remember that you only need 51% acceptance to be a democratic leader. You never ever be able to get 100% agreement in any group. Doesn't matter how good, how inclusive you are. And that's fun. So I would like to give you some improvement possibilities, like more vocal variety, more pauses, just to break up your story. Your story is interesting. Your experience is interesting. So stop, break it up, and raise your voice when you're excited. And something to grow as maybe you should think about using technology like slides, not big complicated slides. Just when you're talking about your democratic leadership, put a word out so we can connect what you're talking about and we can see it. So we realize that you are talking about democratic leadership or autocratic, whichever is at the topic at the time. And one more thing I would like to mention is your Zoom presence. Congratulations, standing up, that is great. But you were a bit too far from the camera. As Adeline Nagu said, belly button up. And we don't want to see anything more than belly button up. And that gives you the flexibility to come close, to step back, but you're still visible. Your facial expression is still visible. So work on that. That's just practice. So all in all, I loved your message that we can all be good leaders. We just have to follow our heart. Back to you, Mr. G.
Thank you very much, Mariana, for your evaluation. You did a good job to encompass all the good ideas that we need as a speaker to improve our speeches. Thank you very much once again. Please give a big round of applause to Mariana Burka and the speaker. And now I'm going to evaluate the role players. First, I will start with the Sergeant Retired. Fursey, you did a good job. And I like two important points from your presentation today. First is that you were ready to take this role. And secondly, your voice, the accent, the commanding voice to read out the norms of Toastmaster meeting. That I like it. Thank you very much for your services to this community. Please give a big round of applause to Fursey. Toastmaster of the day, Carine Baptiste. You had a very wonderful voice, wonderful accent. And since I came
Mohammed
here
Azimuddin, if I may interrupt.
Yeah.
I am the evaluator for the Toastmaster of the day, so you should be calling me. I was the first evaluator right at the top on the agenda, and then Nina was to evaluate the toast.
Yes, I'm calling them.
Thank you.
So, but I didn't find any evaluator for surgery term, so I did it, that part, and now Toastmaster of the day. So I would like to invite the leader of the leaders, Braham Memon, to evaluate the role of Toastmaster of the day for today's meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. I mean, Mr. GE. Now, why am I evaluating the Toastmaster of the day? You may wonder. Or why would Nina evaluate the toast? Well, these are also projects from the pathways. And managing an online meeting is one of those projects in level 4, and I'm evaluating Carine, Baptiste here on level 4, managing an online meeting. Now, this is an advanced club, so, you know, I'm going to evaluate this at an advanced level for sure. Carine Baptiste is one of those members that I really admire in leadership speak. And the reason being this, simply that she does what she's committed to doing. She follows exactly what we are supposed to be doing here in our culture. She follows the club culture. Members who model the way are self-directed leaders, and Carine has proved herself to be a self-directed leader. I wasn't hesitant at all when I gave her the role of Toastmaster of the day. I know that she would follow through. I watch people as the Vice President of Education, as the club founder. I've watched people as to what they are going to be capable of doing, and I give them the roles accordingly. And if I see that they may not be able to do that role, we train them well beforehand, and I had no doubt that she would just follow through. She exemplifies what a servant leader is, makes my life easy. She made my life very, very easy. I felt respected and valued as a mentor and a coach as well. That was just amazing. Now, here's the thing where you can improve on, Carine, and this is the place where you can improve on. Where can you improve on? Well, to begin with, follow the agenda. On the agenda, everything's listed there. The time, when things are going to happen, and how they're going to happen. So this meeting started 3 minutes early. The Sergeant at Arms started speaking 3 minutes before time. And you should have stopped him from doing that, because it was not 9:30. He started speaking at 9:27. Members started sending me notes saying, this meeting has started 3 minutes early. I said, well, we'll talk about it when I start speaking, and let you know that follow the agenda. Everything is on the agenda. Number 2, when you started, I loved how you spoke to the theme and what servant leadership is all about. However, you were reading the notes, and I could see that you were looking at the notes over there rather than the camera. The camera is so important in an online meeting, where the eye contact and the camera, you and the camera, should be together. Now, you've been spotlighted next to me, but I'm not looking at you. I have to look at the camera. I don't know why you're spotlighted there. Maybe it's for your own benefit, but I have to look at the camera and speak to you and the world through that. I'm like a newscaster broadcasting. So that's the idea behind online meetings and managing online meetings. You have succeeded very well. The only one other thing is, in the beginning, when you were introducing the speakers, we tend to get confused sometimes. Sometimes we will set the title, and then we'll start introducing the speaker again, and we'll mention the speaker in the title again. There's a way we do this in Toastmasters. We introduce the speaker with their introduction, and then we would tell their name, and then the title, and then the title, and the name, and then it goes on to the speaker. We don't even have to say over to you, or the lectern is yours. Those are, terms that we don't need to use at all. It's all apparent that that's what's going to happen. With that, I am so glad that you are the Toastmaster today. You exemplified the role. You exemplified what Toastmasters is about, especially as a self-directed leader. And it feels great to have had you as a Toastmaster of the day. Back to you, Mr. G.
Thank you very much, Bram. You evaluated the Toastmaster of the day and I also learned a lot from your evaluation. Maybe I will adopt this in my own way. So please give a big round of applause to Brahm Memon and Toastmaster of the Day, Carine Baptiste. The next role player is presenting toast, Francoise Bowman, and her speech will be evaluated by Nina John.
I'm
Please,
afraid
Nina
Nina
John.
has left the meeting and she did not wait, so she will do the evaluation later on with Francois. Please catch up with Nina later, Francois.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. And now another role player, timer, Afton Lee Gender. And I don't see in the agenda any evaluator for this, so I evaluate myself. So what I found from her presentation, that the importance of time, she has realized herself. That is why quickly she defined the role of a timer and then came into the mainstream. Thank you very much for your role. Please give a big round of applause to timer Afton. And the grammarian. Today, we are lucky that we don't have the grammarian's role. So nobody could know that how many grammatical mistakes I did during my presentation. This is good news, but bad news that I lost a chance to correct myself grammatically from my grammarian. Another one suggestion I would give that for the introduction of the speakers and evaluators, we are always struggling. So what I suggest that we should take 4 important points like education, profession, achievement, and ambition. So every member should give their introduction, and the club officers, they will include it in the website. Like in home page, you can find meet our members. In that, I checked and I found that some LinkedIn links are there, some Facebook links are there, but that's not serving the purpose. So, and there is the last point is that in the meet our members about.me profile. So everybody should fill that one so that the introducers or speakers or evaluators introduction could be obtained from that part. And secondly, the meeting was really very well organized, and I am happy that it is 11:27 and the meeting has to be concluded at 11:30. So we are 3 minutes early because we started 3 minutes early. This is how we manage the time. This is how the leadership, the self-directed leaders are learning. This, I congratulate the members of this club, the officers of this club to conduct one another successful and very influential meeting. Over to Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you very much, dear General Evaluator. Thank you for all insightful, impactful evaluator. We can learn from all of us, and also we can improve more for the next time. So I would like to introduce our soft of the day, shared by Nati Mokonso. Naxi, can you share with us the soft of the day?
Fellow Toastmasters and guests, the philosophy of servant leadership, as pioneered by Robert Greenleaf in the 70s, has become priceless as a virtue, if not a priceless asset. According to Stephen Covey, the relevance of servant leadership is driven by 2 factors. These are globalization as well as information technology, as the globe requires good quality services at low cost within a short space of time. Therefore, leaders have to empower their workforce to rise to the occasion in order to respond to the demand of the day. In olden days, the expectation was to treat people the way you want to be treated. But nowadays, with servant leadership as the driver of successful organizations, the expectation is to treat people the way they want to be treated. Empowerment of people is key, and it can only take place where there is mutual trust and a philosophy where bosses turn into servants and coaches. Serving people means growing their capacity, and it implies that everyone can contribute in that growth. Additionally, organizations have to have systems and structures that provide an enabling environment for empowerment to thrive. I have an example of a servant leader, Matthew Luquia, the superintendent of St. Mary's Hospital in Uganda, who encouraged the heart and enabled others to act, challenge the status quo throughout modeling the way. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster today.
Thank you very much, Nati, for sharing this wonderful stuff of the day and also your experience about the topic. I hope you enjoy a lot of this interesting and also wonderful theme dedicated to servant leadership, and I really enjoy from my side, and I will practice all methods you have shared, because it's very important if you want to improve more and more to test different ways to show our leadership style. So this is my role to announce the certificates. And the first certificate is dedicated to the best speaker. So the best speaker is Sandra. Okay, Sandra Valks. So please applaud Sandra. Congratulations, Sandra, for your speech. And the second certificate, Best Evaluator, is Fursey. Thank you very much, Fursey. Great job. And I would like to congratulate all speakers, evaluators, and technical roles for this meeting. Thank you very much for your involvement. And you worked very hard for this meeting. And it was a wonderful experience for me as a Toastmaster of the Day for the first time. I will hand over with our president of this club, Asif, to conclude. Please welcome warmly Asif.
Thank you very much, Carine. Well, dear fellow leaders and guests, a very good morning, good evening, wherever you are from the part of the world. Well, among the most important, leadership aspect in Toastmasters is volunteering. And the essence of volunteering is to serve. So when you get an opportunity to lead, as well as the essence being, or the foundation being serving, and not having the whole spotlight on you, but yes, in Zoom, we do enjoy the spotlight. And that's so, important in Zoom, right? Just to figure out who is speaking. But in leadership speak, as well as in leadership, in outside world as well, serving to help all your followers or whomever in your organization you are serving, or you are entrusted with that trust of, to serve those people. If you are doing that, it's going to bring fabulous results, isn't it? We do not require too many superheroes. We require heroes who can make their followers superheroes. So that's what we call it as leader, making more and more leaders. Well, now this requires us to, step outside this comfort zone, because serving everyone is not, such a very, very easy task, isn't it? Because we may not know what are the requirements of whom we are serving. And for that purpose, it's so important that we step outside of our comfort zone, we connect with the people whom we want to serve, we try to understand what they want, what are their expectations, and without being told, we step in to serve for the whole purpose of, uplifting everyone, whoever are either in Toastmasters, they are the members. Very, very important. And, today, even in our club, we see this several times happening that, members step in to fill in some of the roles which requires changes in the last moment itself. Like, for example, Fursey did, and many others did. And when you step in to serve, there's always a chance that you might fail. And because, if failure is a thing which, is taking you back seat, that's very important that, you let go that fear just from your heart, feel, I want to serve. And that is the whole purpose of Toastmasters itself. A place where it's a congenial environment, where we are ready to serve, ready to make mistakes, but recover as quickly as possible. So my dear guests, we want to connect with you. We want to understand from you what are all your, is your experience. We want to learn from your experience about today's meeting, about our club. And that is where I want to invite Brahm Memon to connect with our guests. Over to you, Brahm.
If you will stop the recording, that'll be great. Thank you, Mr. President. Is the meeting adjourned?
Yes, adjourned.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And with that, I'd like to ask Linda Orlando